Hi everyone, welcome to my very first travel video, and in this video I'm going to share my story of how I traveled from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, all the way to Copenhagen in Denmark. And I recorded this on my iPhone 8, and for some reason when I transferred the video footage over to my editing computer, the background audio got way out of sync with the video, so that's a bit unfortunate, but well, you'll be listening to my voice mostly, so it's all right. Anyways, if you do know how to fix that, do let me know in the comments below. But first, of course, the first plane, an Air Canada A321, is coming in, and this is going to take me from Calgary all the way to Toronto. Now, this flight had three planes. Well, not this flight, but this trip had three planes. First one to Toronto, next one from Toronto to Portugal, Lisbon in Portugal, and then the final one is from Lisbon to Copenhagen in Denmark. And of course, being COVID-19, I'm going to talk about a lot of the nuances of what I had to prepare in order to actually go on this trip. So the regulation for entering Denmark when I took this trip was you had to take a COVID-19 test 24 hours prior to your first flight, and of course get the result back, a negative result, prior to boarding said first flight. And the company that you would get the test from, in Alberta anyway, is Dynalife. However, their time for getting the results in is 24 to 48 hours, usually, so obviously that's not good enough for Denmark. And I called a lot of people to try to get a test that would be able to have the result within 24 hours, even Alberta Health Service, but in the end I had to go to Dynalife. The day before, I drove 3 hours north to Edmonton, where the labs are, to get myself tested. And luckily enough, they managed to get the results in to me within 8 hours, so that was amazing. The night before I got the results, I was super excited and thought, oh my goodness, I can finally go. But right, and at Calgary Airport, when I checked in, they spent about like 20-30 minutes just because had to find out every single thing required to see if I can actually get into Denmark. And anyways, it's snowing in Calgary, well, at the time, and you can see snowplows on the tarmac cleaning up. Anyways, back to that. So first of all, the 24 hours COVID-19 test. And to enter Denmark, the regulation was you had to be either a citizen or you had a residence permit. So I had a student limited work residence permit, so I was supposed to be allowed to go in, and I did manage to get in, but there were more hiccups along the way. But yeah. And on the plane, all three of them, the regulation is you must wear a face mask at all times, and even during sleep. But of course, you can take it off when you're eating or drinking. So yeah, we're departing. And the seat configuration, we were placed either at the window or in the aisle, and nobody was sitting in the middle seat, for safety, of course, and social distancing. So coincidentally, I was placed in the right-hand side window seat on all three flights. I chose the first seat on Air Canada, but I was, for some reason, not allowed to choose my seat for the last two planes. And back to check-in at Calgary. Again, coincidentally, the person who checked me in was actually Danish, so that was very interesting. And the other two flights were unable to be checked in. I had to check in at Toronto. But in the background, you can see the Calgary's control tower, which, when I read up on it, is apparently the highest standing, freestanding control tower in all of North America, so that's interesting. And above the engine right now, you can see a bunch of WestJet 737s, which apparently are grounded, so those might be 737 MAXs. They're supposed to be flying now, but there was another accident well, not accident, incident. A warning light went off last Sunday, well, 2 days prior to this flight. No, last Friday, last Friday. Anyways, the Rocky Mountains, so we're facing south right now, as they're to the west. But anyways, got some farmland footage, and you can see some very square-like plots of land, and those outlines are roads. So on the plane we got some complimentary bag, and when I recorded this, I thought maybe I can take off the white part so I can read the message below, but that was not the way it was supposed to be. So I did get it open, and here's the message from the Chief Medical Officer of Air Canada. You guys can read it if you want to, but I'm not going to keep you guys occupied with that, so let's do an unboxing. And between my legs there's this ginger ale, also complimentary, which I picked up. And first off is some water, which I already had a little sip of. And next we have a white face mask. I didn't actually use it, but oh yeah, I mentioned I had two face masks, one on top of the other, just for safety. And some pretzels, or bretzel if you speak French. Canada's a bilingual French and English country, so you gotta have both English and French on most things in Canada. Now there was a backside of this in French for the Chief Medical Officer message, but I forgot to record that. Sorry. Some cookies from Biscoff, apparently Europe's favorite cookie with coffee. Why is this on a domestic Air Canada flight? I don't know, but there's that. Next we have some earbuds. I brought my own, so I didn't use those. And finally, some hand sanitizer. And I used this throughout all 3 flights, so thank goodness for that. And here we got some footage of some frozen lakes in Western Ontario. I thought it was very interesting, so I recorded this. And here we're approaching Lake Superior. So one thing you may have noticed is the clouds stopped forming, I think at the shore from the lake. So that's quite fascinating. Now, when we flew a little bit more into the above the lake, there were more clouds that formed, and we got some sun glare. It's the afternoon over there, and there we got more glare from the sun. I thought that was a nice shot right here. So, oh, and you see the clouds in the background above the lake. Okay, so Toronto, making a nice right turn, lining up with the runway, and that's the residential area. Some of the residential areas in Toronto. Toronto's quite big, so I just thought, hey, this looks like good footage, so let's record it. And I am improvising this audio recording of my voice, this voiceover, as I do with most of my videos. Alright, coming in for a landing. It's approximately 5 in the afternoon, or 1700 hours. And this is Toronto Pearson Airport, or YYZ. Calgary is YYC, Lisbon is LIS, and Copenhagen is CPH. Those are the airport codes. Just for those of you who might be curious. And upon landing, if you don't pay attention, spoilers come up, and down there, the reverse thrusters are activated. Bit shaky cam because, well, we just touched down and I'm attempting to hold the iPhone as still as possible. And there, another shot of the reverse thrusters. Pretty decent landing. So a few shots of the larger aircraft in the international airport, international terminal, I believe. Now my plane that went to Lisbon was not actually a pretty large aircraft. I'm talking like Airbus A330s, A340s, 787s, and 777s, for example. And I had a short cut here because I called Mother to announce that I arrived in Toronto, but I wanted to record a bit of the 787s, but you can still see some. Anyways, inside the airport, I saw this very interesting structure in the international terminal. I wasn't quite sure what it is. There wasn't actually a description or anything around it, but I thought it was cool. And many shops and restaurants were closed. As you know, it's COVID-19, and unfortunately, it has hit small businesses quite hard, even inside the airport. And for dinner, I had a burger from, it's called Custom Built Burgers. And alongside that, this is the Toronto style. Alongside that, I had the pretzels and everything from the previous flight, so it was a pretty decent dinner. And now we're on the plane to Portugal. And it was mostly empty. I had 3 seats to myself, and as with most people, they also had the same. Now this is an A321 LR Neo, so long-range new engine option, which is, I don't know, do we want to call it a refit of the A321? But yes, there are a few differences. A more efficient engine, and you can see the winglets, or in this case Airbus calls them sharklets, is one single one going up, whereas the one on Air Canada, which is the previous generation A321, had a short one up and a short one down. So yeah, off to Lisbon. And in my previous dinner shot, you might have heard the American national anthem being played by electric guitar. Well, that was because next to where I was eating dinner, there was a hockey game being broadcasted, so I thought that was very Canadian. Well, not the anthem, obviously, but I was chatting with a few friends prior to takeoff, and that was what they said. Oh my god, hockey playing in a Canadian airport. How Canadian? Anyways, it is about 8 p.m. or 2000 hours at takeoff, so I spent about 3 hours browsing Toronto Pearson Airport. Really nothing much to see, a bunch of closed shops. It was kind of a sad scene, to be honest. And yeah, got some few more footage we can comment on as we go on. A few nice shots of Toronto at night. So the entertainment system on this TAP Portugal plane was pretty extensive. Some nice movies and stuff, but I didn't actually watch any. I mostly slept on this flight, but this flight did have Wi-Fi. Well, not very good Wi-Fi. Actually, they had multiple tiers which you could pay for. The free tier was you can only use Messenger, WhatsApp, or, well, basically messaging applications, and I had to renew that every single hour. And it was nighttime, so not much footage, but here we had dinner or lunch, depending on the time zone. We had a salad. This is carrots and cabbage, I think. And here I'm struggling with getting it open. But yes, carrots and cabbage. It was not bad. But I didn't put any of these vinaigrettes on because I don't actually know what these are. I was kind of nervous, but anyways, a chocolate mousse cake. That was good. Cabbage, chicken curry, and very subpar rice and water. And of course bread with butter. And it came with silverware. I was really surprised being in economy class. I thought it was going to be just plastic. And we got some TAP Portugal stuff. And symbol. Logo, that's the word. And this is breakfast. I got a Nutri-Grain with a cheese chicken submarine sandwich, if we want to call it that, and water. So what's interesting with this is drinking options. You could get white or red wine. So I think that's a Portuguese thing. I don't know. You guys can tell me. And here we're in the morning. We can see the sunrise. So I slept for most of that flight. So not much footage from that other than the eating part. And here we're starting our descent, and you can see the sunrise again. Nice cloud cover too. All right, approaching Portugal, and we can see some windmills on the ground. There were also windmills coming in above the Atlantic Ocean near the shore, so I see Portugal is doing quite well with their green environmental plan. And this shot I took early of the landing because I don't know if they're dumping fuel or this is just air vortices coming out of the aileron. You guys that are more knowledgeable about airplanes can tell me, but yeah, I thought this was weird, so I took a shot of this. And it kept going for quite a while. A little bit closer to when we touched down, but I wasn't sure. I don't think they're dumping fuel because we're quite low towards the ground relatively. So I just thought it was weird. And quite the difference, huh? There's no snow in Portugal when I landed there. Well, not Lisbon. Portugal's still a pretty big country. Well, it's relatively small, but... And when we landed, there was a very light rain. But it wasn't like I needed an umbrella or anything. Very, very light rain. And we landed at approximately 8 in the morning. And you can see that vortice thing is still going, huh? And touchdown. Spoilers go up, and spoilers, as I understand them, is it stops the lift from the plane so that your plane doesn't suddenly go up again after touchdown. So quite essential equipment for aircraft. At least jet aircraft. I don't know what it's like on no, I mean I'm pretty sure propeller planes also have spoilers. And again, shaky cam. I tried my best to hold it still. So then I checked in Toronto and I asked them to change my seat. They didn't actually let me select a seat, but they gave me the right side window seat on this plane and the next one, and nobody sat there next to me, so I have 3 seats to myself. That was quite enjoyable. And coming up, there's some footage of a bus that took me from the plane to the terminal. I recorded it because I very rarely actually go on a bus that takes me from a plane to a terminal. I believe prior to this trip, it only happened once. That was in Guangzhou in China, going from the terminal to the plane. When I landed in Guangzhou, it was just plane directly across the bridge to the terminal, so I thought, this is interesting, but there's the plane, and this is the bus. Thank you so much, have a pleasant week, and goodbye. And off we go. So I record the entire bus trip, so I'm gonna share a few more stories along the way. Yeah, so when I landed in Lisbon, I had about 2 hours to spend inside the terminal. And I also noticed something very interesting, which was a smoking room, which, to my knowledge, was the first time I've seen one inside a an airport, so that was a bit of a shocker for me. And across from the smoking room, there was a electric smoking room. So I don't know what was going on there, but that's one thing that was in Lisbon Airport. And at the airport, they did not announce the gate number until about 20 to 30 minutes before boarding time. Now, this is probably a new regulation to curb COVID cases, as announcing the gate number a bit late would, so I suppose, force people to not congregate around the gate, so to keep some social distancing and having people walk around the airport. So at first, I was really worried because I was like, oh my goodness, there's no gate for me. What is happening? But I quickly realized the purpose of it. So prior to boarding the next plane, which would take me to Denmark, I mentioned there was a little hiccup to my entry to Denmark because, well, the people in charge of the boarding procedure didn't fully read up on the 24-hour regulation. So, the regulation at the time was if you're on a continuous journey, so me, having two connecting flights, it was you had to be tested 24 hours prior to the first flight. So of course, having landed in Lisbon, the time I tested was way past 24 hours for when I'm boarding the flight to Copenhagen. So they held me there for a few minutes while they researched the requirements and regulations. But in the end, I was allowed on the plane, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have this video up. But they didn't notify me when they finished their research. I actually had to walk up to the boarding gate, and then they said, "Oh, sorry, we forgot about you. Yes, you are allowed on the plane." So that was that was a rough time. And at customs, they just asked me, "What are you doing in Portugal?" I said, "I have a connecting flight to Copenhagen in Denmark," and they asked me for my residence permit and the 24-hour COVID-19 test, and I was let right through. So before arriving at customs, they actually had a section of the terminal closed off where where you would line up, social distanced, of course, 2 meters or 6 feet for you Americans, to, well, see if you have your COVID-19 test. Otherwise, you would get tested at the airport. But I had my test, so they let me through. Also, in Lisbon, it was about 15 degrees centigrade or Celsius. If you use Fahrenheit, I can't convert that right now. So look that up yourselves. And it was decently warm, but plus the rain and relatively strong wind, it was somewhat chilly. But as a Canadian, it wasn't so bad. So anyways, keeping on with this footage of the bus, you can see a bunch of airport vehicles, and coming up in a bit, the bus had to stop because one of the airport trucks decided to back up in front of us. There wasn't an accident, thank goodness, but that was some bad driving right there. And perhaps I should have faced the camera forward to see what was in front of the bus, but it was somewhat crowded, as you can see from the reflection on the window. So I recorded this angle. And here we stopped, and I'm changing angles, and there you see that truck backing up in front of us. Like, what is this? Maybe that's the traffic law in Portugal, but I don't know. And as you saw there, some hand sanitizer. So good work, Portugal authorities, for all the safety during COVID-19. And we will soon arrive at the terminal, and I got some few fun things to share that happens inside the terminal. And I believe we are almost there. There it is, 45A. Okay, so inside the terminal I noticed this, a self-driving cleaning machine. I thought that was very interesting, so it was the only footage I recorded inside that terminal. And now we're going to the plane that will take me to Copenhagen in Denmark. So this time I got footage of straightforward, so you get the right side of a driver perspective if you like that, but yeah. And again, wearing that face mask the entire time, except for when I have to eat or drink. And I did change the face mask once on the flight to Lisbon in the restroom or washroom or toilet, depending on where you are in the world, because it got somewhat soggy. But no, it's just, yeah. And upon arriving in Lisbon, they had another security check, so my water was, I had to consume my water before I went in. So then I did not have anything to drink on this flight to Copenhagen, as the drinks and food were to be bought, unlike the previous first flights where they did give you food. So that's a bit unfortunate, but whatever. Although prior to landing, someone did go around with a cup of water. So this is about, I think, around lunchtime. Yeah, this was around lunchtime. And no, hold on. We arrived at, yeah, I arrived at Portugal at 8 o'clock. I spent about 2 hours in the airport, so yeah, that's 10 o'clock. There we go. Yes, this is 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking Lisbon airport must be pretty busy if not all planes can be put directly at the gate. They have to drive you to the plane. So, well, I mean, it's COVID-19 season, so why are they flying so much? But anyways, this is what it was during this day. And the next plane is an A320neo. So it seems that Portugal's fleet is quite advanced in the new Airbus planes, unlike Air Canada, which is still using the old A321. Coming around, turning, and then we will see footage of the plane that will take me to Copenhagen. Not that one. You can see the tail of it though. That right there, I believe, is well, it looks like a Boeing 777. No, yeah, 777. And there's the plane. And as you can see on the engine, it says A320neo. So, final leg of the journey. This plane was sat somewhat more crowded than the previous ones, but the check-in lady at Toronto did give me 3 seats, speak to myself, so thank you for that. And again, coincidentally, on the right side of the plane. So, I actually fell asleep on this plane, so I did not have any footage during the flight, but again, takeoff and landing, and the spoilers activated a bit during takeoff, so I don't know what's up with that. And the flight was about 3 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes before we landed in Copenhagen. The first flight from Calgary to Toronto was 3 hours and 30 minutes. The flight from Toronto to Lisbon was 7 hours, and here we're coming in to land at Copenhagen. So I suppose I can share a bit about my train trip. My final destination was Odense, Copenhagen. Odense in Denmark. And the train system was a bit confusing. So I bought the ticket to Odense. That was easy, but learning to know which train to take, that was a bit tough. I had contacts to speak to, so thank goodness for that, but I took the plane that goes to, I believe it was called Augsburg, and then Odense was the first stop. So it wasn't that difficult, but a bit daunting, yes. And I believe it was about 3 degrees centigrade when I landed in Copenhagen, and then 2 degrees in Odense, so yeah, but yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and ring the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Helps out the channel quite a lot, and it's free, so why not? Also, you can contribute to my Patreon if you want to. Link in the description, where you can also find the link to my Discord server, where you can speak to fans of myself directly. Now, of course, the Discord server is mostly my Star Trek Online fans, as you may have noticed on my channel, there's a lot of Star Trek Online content. But yeah, overall it was a very good trip. Safety-wise, it was good. Great. Well, as good as they can make it, right? With all the social distancing and face mask regulations. So yeah, we have arrived. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!